What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in, guys, to our 2025 beginning of our team schedule previews. Riggs Tamburo, Rudy Reyes. Hope you guys are doing well. And we thought it was only right that we start with the team that is certainly at the moment predicted for the easiest schedule in the NFL. Now, we do want to remind you guys, these predictions come based off of winning records from last year. So a team that might have been terrible got really good in the offseason, such as the Patriots. Maybe they played them a couple times. It messes with the schedule a little bit. But anyway, with all that said, my man, let's hop on in here. Before we get into game number one, we got to talk really quickly about the quarterback situation. Brock Purdy, 5 years, $265 million. Mixed feelings from the crew over here at the Sports Forum. Some of the guys over here are thinking, hey, this guy's worth it. He was due. It's a good move from San Francisco. Other people saying complete overpay, no trade clause. You're stuck with Brock Purdy. You gave him almost $200 million guaranteed. So with all that said, Fred Warner also signing his long-term deal here with the 49ers. So two good moves, Rudy. But at this moment right now, do you think the 49ers are in a good spot, or do they kind of tie their hands a little bit and they might be kind of hoping and praying things work out?
Well, you know what? What's really interesting when you look at Brock Purdy, what he did last year, I think you can do a lot more with less. And Brock Purdy certainly did that. He showed it. His numbers were indicative of that. Yeah, he received $265 million worth of an extension. You could put Fred Warner on that list as well. Both very productive despite the less than desirable results at the end of the regular season. With that being said, $265 million. Guaranteed money's at 181 million. So what that does, it does not affect the cap. It's a cap friendly number because it's just straight out cash and call it a day. You know, sign and buy. And that's exactly what he did. From a perspective of what they're going to do with their schedule, taking on the Saints, do quarterbacks, Seahawks, do quarterback. We don't know what that's going to look like, but then you get deep into the regular season against teams like Atlanta, who's on the rise, Texans, who were so close last year but just came up short. A new look New York Giants team, the Rams, looking at trying to right this ship from last year as well, barely squeaking into the playoffs. Cardinals from a quarterback, and that's another conundrum for another time, but he hasn't really lived up to his expectations either. Panthers, he's too short and he whines a little too much. But then you look at Carolina, first overall pick just a couple of years ago, trying to get trying to right the ship and get them back on track. Cleveland Browns, I think, has a really good situation from a quarterback perspective. And I don't mean Deshaun Watson. They drafted 2 quarterbacks when they really only needed 1, maybe 2, but they did re-sign Joe Flacco. So that's something to look out for. When you look at Purdy's numbers and what he did specifically against NFC teams, at least Western teams, he did pretty good. I mean, it is significant. His production was significant as well at nearly a 70.1% passer rating, which is okay, but there's room for growth. And when I say growth, you look at the draft, you look at who they grabbed, you look at the re-signed contracts, you look at the George Kittle situation. A lot of things to look forward to for the 49ers and their fans. I'm more concerned about where they look like in the grander scheme of things within the NFC West. Don't forget, they're taking on, a lot of players. They're taking on some very little trade activity in free agency, but I think the draft picks for them are really going to pay off. But then you look back at last year, Riggs, and you look at these, think to yourself, man, they devastated Seattle. They're 5-1, including the playoffs and postseason play. Purdy's numbers looked, pretty good. No longer Mr. Irrelevant. He's now relevant with a relevant contract with guys like Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, and of course guys like Matthew Stafford. We just mentioned him. Top 10 all time, at least in my opinion, top 10 all time. Won a Super Bowl, still going strong, but too many INTs for him. Then you look at Murray again. We were talking about him and his dismay and what the Cardinals look like. Well, almost every single year, minus another Warner, not named Fred. Who helped take Arizona Cardinals directly to the Super Bowl to take on the Steelers, Super Bowl 43. So a lot to like about this 49ers team. They were in cap hell, but they decided to do some restructuring, as all teams do. Mickey Loomis for the Saints does it annually. So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do in the regular season. But again, everything starts at training camp. So we'll find out what this team has, what they're capable of doing, and are they going to look any better in the upcoming season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, a lot of question marks here. Like you mentioned, in the division, I think they're still looking pretty good. I mean, they've kind of manhandled this division for the most part. Obviously, like you mentioned, I mean, hey, 6-11 last year, not a good record for the 49ers. But a big question I've been seeing amongst, some of the ESPNs and places is this the new look 49ers? No, I don't believe it is. If you think this is a 6-win football team, I don't know. I have to disagree with that here. But once again, guys, we are going to go ahead and go through right now our 2025 San Francisco 49ers record predictions. Make sure if you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. Instagram and Twitter, give us a follow at Sports Forum CO. This is team number 1. We're doing all 32. So make sure you guys don't miss any of those predictions. But my man pulling up here the first few games on the 49ers board. Game number 1, tough one here on the road, Sunday, September 7th, a nice little afternoon game, 2:00 window there for all you mid-U.S. people, 4:05 Eastern time at the Seattle Seahawks. This right here, like you mentioned, you got Brock Purdy taking on Sam Darnold. Is he going to be worth the money? A lot of question marks there. They get rid of DK Metcalf. They do still have JSN. They bring in another wide receiver. I think they're looking okay here in Seattle. You got a 49ers team. Looks like Christian McCaffrey is going to be good to go week 1. But if you go look at some of the futures numbers, total touchdowns, total yardage, all those things, McCaffrey's not listed on those betting sites. So definitely keep an eye on this. But I think we have to do this record prediction based on the fact that McCaffrey will be ready to go here to start the season, at least by week 2 or 3. Otherwise, it's going to kind of butcher this schedule prediction. But let's kick things off here at Seattle Seahawks. Is game number 1 a win in your opinion?
When I look at Seattle and I look at their quarterback situation, getting Sam Darnold, who, by the way, just did absolutely everything right in Minnesota, except for that very last game, which disabled them from getting into postseason. So with a running game, I like Seattle. I like where they're at. I like where they're headed, grabbing Sam Darnold. They do have a solid running game. They beef that up a little bit. I think Sam Darnold's going to need a lot more help at the line. This is going to be a tough one because the 49ers have basically owned Seattle for quite a few years. And I don't mean just regular season. I mean, talking about the playoffs. We just discussed that a minute ago. But I think this could be a close one. I think the 49ers, as long as Gold gets it done, I think you can get a win in the upper Northwest against Seattle.
I'm going to go win here as well for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not convinced by the Seahawks team right now. I know they got the second year coaching here going on with Mike Macdonald, and I do like Macdonald, but I was a little bit concerned there in the second half of last year. Will he have his team ready? I think it's too many pieces here to expect Seattle to come out with a big win. This is likely a one-score game no matter how you cut the cake here. It just feels like it's going to shape up that way. And they do say defense shines early in the season, and Seattle is kind of known for that defense. But once again, you got Shanahan, you got Warner. I think this defense comes out flying, makes life hell for Sam Darnold. We're both going to go 1-0 here to kick things off for the San Francisco 49ers. Then schedule makers doing these guys dirty. No home game in week number 2 either at the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, Derek Carr retiring just a couple weeks ago. Now they got Tyler Shuck, which, if you guys watched anything with the draft, I about lost my damn mind when they brought this guy in instead of Shedeur Sanders. But hey, go ahead and eat the cake that you dealt yourself. Is this a win here for them? Or do you think Tyler Shuck, maybe some of the guys over here in New Orleans, can go ahead and make a statement here to kick things off in week 2?
We had mentioned Mickey Loomis and what he does during the regular season and before the season ever starts by restructuring contracts, cutting here, slicing there, dicing here, thricing there. He's done it for years. The problem is that now it's coming back to haunt him. With Derek Carr and that guaranteed money that he's going to be getting paid. Yeah, he's a Fresno State Bulldog, but was he all that good? No, not really. He kind of lines right there next to his brother in that regard. Although his brother did play for just one team and one team only. That's the Houston Texans. The New Orleans Saints are starting from scratch. I mean, let's just call it what it is. They have to see what he can do during preseason games. Hopefully they'll knock that down to 1 eventually and not have 2 or 3 preseason games where people get injured. They're on IR, and then who knows when they get off. I think this is going to be a tougher win than I think most people expect because the defense for New Orleans has been pretty consistent, but not what we have seen from New Orleans. So as much as they're going to go into the Superdome and play the New Orleans Saints, I'm taking the 49ers. Fred Warner has been like the staple in this Niners defense for quite a few years. So I look for him to make a huge impact. He's got great swim moves, great power moves. He has great hand-eye coordination. He's intercepted plenty of balls, ran them back for touchdowns, especially deep in the opponent's side of the field. I'm taking the 49ers to go on the road still and get another W.
Yeah, and like you said, as good as the defense is here for New Orleans, man, I just don't see how they're going to score enough points to win this football game. I mean, I guess if the new $265 million man can't break 20 points in this game, I'll be a little bit surprised. But to me, honestly, I think 17 points gets this game done here in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and go 49ers here in game number 2 as well. 2-0 for both of us. Now, first home game of the year, Arizona Cardinals traveling their way up there. Now, look, Arizona, not a good travel team, but it's not very far that they have to travel here in this one. Arizona, once again, not a primetime game, got that afternoon window going down. Is this another win here for San Francisco in the home opener?
Well, considering this is a Pacific Standard Time game, I don't think Arizona's got to go too far away. And minus the height and elevation problems that you have seen with other teams traveling to higher places like Denver as a good example. Arizona ends up slouching this one. I just don't think Kyler Murray has it in him. I just don't believe he's mature enough. And be quite honest with you, and this is a bold prediction, I think you're going to see him probably get benched or cut by the end of this upcoming season, or maybe even traded. Because he's just not that good. He's not that sharp. He's not consistent enough. They have the wide receivers they needed. They drafted a guy. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. Things need to start clicking for Arizona. I just don't believe that they're going to get it done against the 49ers at Levi Stadium. So I think the 49ers end up getting this dub.
That's a bold take there on the Kyler Murray thing. But I mean, I agree with you. How much longer are you going to let this go on? I personally am someone who grew up in Arizona. I am a Cardinals fan at the end of the day. Now, I'm a diehard Steelers fan, but I got to support my Arizona Cardinals. I'm someone that's gone to bat for Kyler Murray, I think, year in and year out. And our man Bryson Owens at the Sports Forum gives me shit for it every single year and says, when are you going to stop defending this guy? But I have to keep defending him. But I'm starting to run out of steam here. It's like, Kyler, let's get it done. Stop running 15 yards backwards and taking sacks. Or I don't know what to tell you anymore. And once again, you're talking about Fred Warner here. I think this is a big turnover game for Kyler Murray. I talked about in the draft that I thought they should have gone after another running back. They had Amarion Hampton available to take their, what was it, the 16th pick? They didn't do it. They could have gone Shedeur Sanders or someone else a little bit later in the draft. I thought there was potential. They were going to grab Shedeur there once he fell to round 3, round 4. I'm looking at Kyler Murray. I'm like, hey, much bigger guy, more attributes that they like, but also a little bit of Kyler Murray in him. And they passed on that as well. I don't think this team is built. Now, to be fair, it's week 3. I don't think injuries are going to hurt them at this point, but this is just a team I'm not very high on. I'm with you. I'm going to go 3-0 here for the San Francisco 49ers. And then another controversial quarterback here in week 4 at home again, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. Once again, I'm somebody, I didn't hate the contract when they gave it to Trevor Lawrence, but he did not make good on it last season. Now here he comes on the road. I think Jacksonville's not quite in the Kyler Murray position, but Trevor Lawrence got to figure it out here pretty quickly. Can he go on the road here and upset the San Francisco 49ers?
That's not going to happen. That contract was absolute dumpster fire worthy. I mean, if you want to throw another log in that fire, then go ahead, Riggs, because I'm not co-signing that one at all. I think Trevor Lawrence is overrated. I think he was drafted in a position with a team that was not ready and capable to be able to get it done for him on that offensive line. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, Brock Purdy at this point in the season, yeah, it's still early, but Brock Purdy's going to find his rhythm. And when he does, he's been dropping balls and bombs on those open receivers, and he's done it consistently. His turnover to completion ratio is like almost non-existent. And that's one of the reasons why I believe the Niners signed him to the big fat contract that they did, which is a very cat-friendly one, by the way, just in case I did not mention it. That's exactly what it is. So it's better for the 49ers. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to bite off more than they can chew. And I think the 49ers are going to take that win.
4-0 here for you, the San Francisco 49ers at this point in the season. Look, man, I think, just so we're clear, come season time, Rudy, I might be taking the dog here in this game. I at least might be looking at the points here. I feel like Jacksonville at this point, if the 49ers are 3-0, which I fully expect them to be, if all goes wrong, they're 2-1 here. They dropped game 1 to Seattle. So I think they're going to be favored here. I think you're looking at a 2 or 3 win 49ers team, probably against a 1, maybe 2 win Jacksonville Jags team at this point. So I do like the points, but we're not talking points. We're talking wins. I'm going with a win here as well for the 49ers. I think that Christian McCaffrey, my brother, if you're not back by week 3, enjoy it in week 4 because you're going to run all over this defense. And I like Travis Hunter, but I don't think Travis Hunter can win this game by himself. So let's go ahead and go 4-0 for both of us here. 6-11 from last year, not looking too shabby with a 4-0 start here. But Rudy, the big test here, prime time, their first of 5, might I say, primetime games this season, October 2nd on Thursday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. They are on the road, SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles Rams. I've seen everybody talking. This is the are they legit game? Are they back game? Do they beat the LA Rams?
This is a marquee matchup. There's no question about it. And we're talking not only NFC West bragging rights early in the season, but this is going to go for a possible precursor to an NFC or at least an NFC West title game. And I say that because you look at, the aforementioned Matthew Stafford. He looks good. But he's starting to look better. He re-signed another deal, inked another one with the longer stretch of money to help keep guys that have been main pieces. Rams defense have too many guys. They have 2 stars on that side of the ball. There's too many Rams, too much offense. I just don't believe in my heart of hearts, despite having Fred Warner applying pressure to Matthew Stafford, there really isn't a whole lot of guys. I mean, you have Hufanga, who's in the secondary. Unless there's a safety blitz, I just don't see him making that much of a difference at the line. And besides, that offensive line looked pretty darn good last season as the season went on for the Rams. I think this is a win for the Rams and ruins that perfect otherwise would-be season for this team. I just don't. I think the 49ers are going to fall flat against the Rams in SoFi. So I'm picking the Rams and upsetting the 49ers with their first loss of the season.
Fair enough here, but I'll tell you what, I'm not a big Rams guy. I haven't been a very big Rams guy. Now, I did like what they did so far in the offseason between free agency and the draft. I thought it was pretty decent there for the LA Rams. But with that said, man, I'm not a Stafford guy, and I don't believe Stafford is getting any better. People keep talking about him like he's still the same guy that he was. I don't believe that he is. He has a major interception problem. I know they're at home here. It will favor them, et cetera, but I think for the 49ers to win this game, this needs to be a low-scoring shootout kind of game. If it gets into this big, who can drive down the field faster, big mega plays, well, eventually the Rams are going to pull away and find a way to win that game if it gets to it. I don't think the 49ers are good for much more than about 23-24 in that game. I got this game going about 24-23, no matter how you cut the cake here. If it's any lower, I think the 49ers can win this one, but I'm doing it. You know what? Give me the 49ers to win this game. Rams, I'm fading you at your own house here in week 5. Give me a 5-0 start. Rudy going 4-1 so far for the San Francisco 49ers. But then schedule makers getting them here, my man, on the road again. Now you got that 10-day little gap there, as you guys can see, which is nice. But you're on the road, Tampa Bay this time. You're going from LA to Tampa Bay. It's about the farthest you can go when you're talking from San Francisco to Tampa Bay. So in this game here, we all know Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. We're very high on these guys. They did some crazy things in the draft. Their wide receiver room is stacked. Their defense is looking much better. It's a long, big time zone difference. Could this be, in your, I guess according to your record prediction, kind of like a really, really bad, you're coming off a loss, maybe you're down a little bit, now you're traveling. Do they lose 2 in a row?
They're going to lose 2 in a row, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. One of those is Baker Mayfield, the ultra competitor, the guy who gave you everything you could possibly handle and then some last season. The guy is a bruiser. He's a baller. He's shown it. Baker's just getting better and better all the time. Not to use a Beatles quote, but that's what he's doing, and he's done it consistently, and that's why he signed that extension, giving him more fluidity. Now he has more guys other than Mike Evans to throw the ball to. There's a variety of plays offensively. They can call different schemes. They have more available to them on the ground, in the air.
Mhm.
This is not for the faint-hearted. Unfortunately, for the 49ers, this is a long way away from the Bay. And it's going to
Yeah.
be in the Tampa Bay backyard. And the Buccaneers are going to get the W here and send the 49ers packing back at home to take on the Atlanta Falcons. So it's a win for Tampa Bay here.
This is a tough one for me because I think you just never know with Baker Mayfield and where he stands, because sometimes their offense looks incredible. They're doing great things. But then the problem is, as good as Baker is sometimes, the defense sometimes looks like they don't exist. This could be kind of the opposite for me. I think if the 49ers show life against the Rams defense, I think things get easier here in week number 6. So I do like them traveling to Tampa Bay. I am a Baker Mayfield guy, though. Rudy, I'm not high on the San Francisco 49ers, but light bulb, maybe I am, because I'm going with another win here for the San Francisco 49ers. If you would have asked me before this started if I had them 6-0, the answer would have been no. But we're going through it now. I'm liking what I'm seeing. They got something to prove after last year. I think the 6 wins from last year is done in 6 weeks. Give me the 49ers to go on the road here and get another big-time win. Now, this is where things start to get scary because, Rudy, how much longer am I going to say they're going to win football games? Well, here they are a week later, back at home, Atlanta coming to town. Michael Penix Jr. fully taking the reins here from Kirk Cousins. Now, we do have another primetime game, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Do you believe the Atlanta Falcons walk into Levi Stadium and upset the 49ers? Because I think it's fair to say the 49ers will be favored in that game.
49ers will definitely be favored in that game. Michael Penix with his first year coming behind, or coming after, I should say, another quarterback who is just basically subpar, and Kirk Cousins now finding himself in different territory and not with Atlanta. Or no, actually, excuse me, he is there, but he's taking a completely different role. And to be honest with you, he needs to take a back seat because he's no longer starter material. Let's just call it what it is at the end of the day. 49ers and 49ers faithful are going to be strong and in force. I just don't believe, even though they had the pretty decent draft that they did have, they grabbed some guys. I think the 49ers are going to overwhelm them a little too much, the offensive line a little too much. But Michael Penix, though, I mean, how can you write that guy off? He's had such accuracy playing at the NCAA level, but guess what? He's not at that level anymore. He's playing in the big leagues, everybody. So this is prime time. He did see some reps last season near in the end of it all, essentially. So I think that when you look at this game, I like the Falcons, but I'm picking the 49ers in this one. I just think they're going to overwhelm them too early, too often, too much creativity on the defensive side of the ball, and tear Atlanta a new one and defeather them and send them back to Atlanta.
Yeah, and I think this is where Fred Warner kind of steps up and has a big-time game, not only in a big-time game since it's Sunday Night Football and it's at home, but the fact of, to me, the one way Atlanta's going to beat guys is the same way they beat people last year. It's one man, it's one wide receiver. If you can lock that guy down and at least take away the middle of the field, which Fred Warner can, I think you're making things tough here on Michael Penix. Yes, he can run. Can he run all night? I don't really believe so. Are the other weapons that bad or that big of a deal? Not really. The running back room, obviously, with Bijan Robinson is good, but you're talking about a team that has arguably a top 2 running back in the NFL. They know how to stop the run. This just doesn't shape up well for me. I think if this game's in Atlanta, we're having a different conversation, but somehow I'm going 7-0 for the San Francisco 49ers. So here they are. Then, Rudy, they go on the road 7 days later. No more prime time for them. A nice little morning game, if you would. 1:00 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. there, maybe 12 o'clock in Houston. CJ Stroud, this team right here, a lot of question marks. We will have that schedule review here pretty shortly, but a lot of question marks. This could be a 12-win team. This could be a 7-win team. Is this a win for the Houston Texans?
This is a must-win for the Houston Texans. No, it's not a divisional win, and no one should actually even expect that. But the way the season ended last year, you're right. There are a lot more questions than there are answers. And right now, I think Houston's going to figure that out and what that looks like at training camp. They have a big task ahead of them at home against the 49ers team who, comes off a win against Atlanta at home, taking that energy and the synergy with them to travel to Houston and take on the Texans. I think to be honest with you, I think the 49ers will take this game, but it's going to be a very low scoring affair. It's going to be defense. What does that look like? That all depends on who can get the plays off in time. And I think the 49ers end up winning this one against Houston because of the amount of question marks they have at wide receiver. Because is CJ Stroud going to show up when he needs to? He did that last year, and he's done that the year before that. So I just don't think it's enough. I don't think it's too early. Too often they score. I think the 49ers end up getting a leg up and win this one.
Oh man, I'm running out of wins here. I don't think I can keep saying it. I'm starting to get a little bit worried about myself because at this point I might have already missed 2 losses. But you're looking here, CJ Stroud, another one of those guys, man, kind of like Baker Mayfield. I know they're not quite the same quarterback, but in the sense of sometimes they look great, sometimes they have a major turnover problem. Sometimes I trust the defenses, sometimes I don't. At this point, Rudy, if I'm saying 7-0 for the 49ers, am I going to say they're not going to go on the road and beat the Houston Texans? I just can't say that. So I'm going to go another win here, 8-0 for the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to be a close one, though. Let me tell you right now, I think this is an ugly, weird score, 22-19, maybe a field goal for the win with that new kicker that they decided to add to the team. I like the 49ers to go ahead and get a win here. Then they go up against that new revamped New York Giants team on the road. You go on the road 1 week and you go to Houston, and the next week you go to New York and take your butt up there November 2nd. Maybe not cold yet, but a little bit colder than the dome that they will be playing in the week before that. New York Giants, Jackson Dart at this point will be nice and oiled up, if you would, good to go. And maybe not, maybe Russell Wilson looks great, but either way, you got to think they either got Russell Wilson playing well, maybe Jackson Dart's in and he's playing well, or things are just a dumpster fire up there in New York by week 9. I don't know, but in your opinion, Dable's job's on the line. Russ is fighting for his life. Jackson's Dart got something to prove. Could this be a Giants win?
You know, it could be a Giants win, but it's not going to be a win if Russell Wilson starts. And I'm not saying that because I'm hating on Russell Wilson, but
Shots
you look
fired.
what happened, it happened against in Pittsburgh when he just decided to start flailing off and a fish out of water.
Yep.
That's exactly what he turned into, or the pumpkin and Cinderella, whatever. Take your pick. I just don't know that Russell Wilson is any longer starting material. And that just goes to show that Russell Wilson is on his way out more so than he has ever been in. Yeah, he won a ring. That's great and wonderful, but that's not going to answer it at the end of the day. Jackson Dart looks good. I like the pick. It almost like fell in their laps. It's not as if they, gave up all this draft capital just to get him. He just kind of, again, fell in their laps. Daboll, yeah, I think I question some of his play calling. I hate to say that. He did a great job when he was in Buffalo, but not so good with the Giants. And I think that the 49ers have been traveling at this juncture in the upcoming season, been traveling relatively well. I think they keep this going, and I think they end up getting a win at MetLife against the Giants.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, you can go ahead and say whatever you want, but the Giants took the wrong quarterback. I'm just saying. So Jackson Dart here, I like the kid. I don't think he's better than Shedeur Sanders. He is better than a guy like Tyler Shaw. So, maybe there's that. I think he's better than Jalen Milroe, but that's still, I don't know yet. I can't say that fully. So I do believe, hey, look, man, I don't look. Anyway, at this point, it doesn't matter to me. It could be Russell Wilson. It could be Jackson Dart. If it is Jackson Dart, he hasn't been playing for very long. I don't think he beats the 49ers. If it's Russ, they know how to beat Russ. I don't know, man. This to me is 49ers again, 9-0 for the New York Giants. And now they're playing the LA Rams again here, 2:25 p.m., Levi Stadium this time. LA's going on the road, leaving that nice, cushy, warm dome that they always play in, and they are playing by the river. In your opinion here in this game, you took the Rams in game number 1. Is this redemption time for San Francisco?
This is going to be interesting. I like where the Rams are headed. No, you're right. Matthew Stafford, not the quarterback he once was, but he still won a ring. A lot of quarterbacks in this league would trade anything to win a title. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of great quarterbacks to win a title, at least maybe not the time frame that he could have won one in. However, he does have one, and we know who hasn't won one. The 49ers, and of course I'm referring to Brock Purdy only because he got to a Super Bowl but didn't win it. He needs all the pieces around him in order to actually get to that win. And I think it's a step in the right direction. They're playing at home against a Rams team that just, I don't know, they're just kind of like stepping or drooling, or I don't know how they're stumbling into this picture. But I think that, when you look at this 49ers team, they're just constructed so much in similarity to the Rams. I just think the 49ers are too much, too often. They penetrate the line. They get to Matthew Stafford. They intercept the ball. I think there's way too much defense and still plenty of offense to go with George Kittle with that new contract. I'm picking the 49ers at home.
Well, I can't do this forever. I have to eventually say these guys are going to lose a game. And maybe it's week 5, maybe it's not, but I'm not sure yet that they're going to sweep the Rams. And even if they do, let's just say go ahead and beat the Rams twice. Based on schedule, I can't have them at 10-0. I just don't think they're going to win 10 straight. So I'm going to go ahead and go 9-1 at this point. Maybe it's the Rams. Maybe it's Atlanta. Maybe it's Tampa. Maybe it's week 5 against them. Maybe it's week 1 against the Seahawks. But I do still think they're playing phenomenal football. I'm going to say like 23-17. Brock Purdy with the ball late. Maybe doesn't get it done. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Rams to win in week 10, 9-1 for me. What are you at right now? 8-2? Or 9-1? 8-2. All right. On to week number 11. Here we are at the Arizona Cardinals this time. Rudy, I don't think we got to spend too much time on this one at this point. You have Kyler Murray's butt sitting on the bench by week number 11. Is this another win?
This is another win. We don't even need to go into this one. This is just way too much Brock Purdy. He's going to look Purdy from the onset, from every snap, and he's going deep, and that's all she wrote.
I'm going Arizona Cardinals in this game, folks. Go ahead and call me crazy, but give me Kyler Murray to bounce back with vengeance. Rudy, he's fighting for his job. Marvin Harrison Jr. is looking too good right now, man. I think James Conner, if he can stay healthy at this point by week number 11, it's not too late in the season for me to still bet on Arizona. I think it's a crazy back and forth game. I'm going special teams for the win here. The Arizona Cardinals to go ahead and win this game. I'm going 9-2 for the San Francisco 49ers. And by the way, all you sports bettors, I just cashed you a fat ass ticket. So you're welcome. Anyway, moving on through here to week number 12, the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young, are going on the road here to Levi Stadium, taking on the 49ers. Look, man, say whatever you want about Bryce Young. I know he kind of came back and looked good at the end of last year. They won a couple games that they weren't supposed to win. But for me, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, this is a big-time win for the 49ers for me. I have them coming off of 2 losses. They got to take it out on somebody. Bryce Young, I'm sorry, brother. You about to get ragdolled.
Well, look, all credit given to Bryce Young and what he was able to do in the latter part of last season. But again, that's last season, not this season. So we're going to see what he can do with that ball. We're going to see he's going to be able to throw that ball to make those completions. It's not going to be easy against a very stifling and probably red hot 49ers defense, at least at this point in the season, being that it's, Thanksgiving and all, and why not play on Thanksgiving, right? So I think to get the W against Carolina, and it's probably not even close.
Not even close. I'm right there with you guys. We're talking like a 34-13 kind of game here in this one. This doesn't feel like the 49ers are going to be kicking a 52-yarder for the win. It just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that. But hey, I said they're going to lose to Arizona, so what do I know? Anyway, moving on through here. At this point in the season, I personally believe Shedeur Sanders is the starter for the Cleveland Browns. He might be the starter week 1 if they don't put Kenny Pickett or maybe even Joe Flacco under the center there. But I think by week 13, Shedeur Sanders is the guy on the road at the Cleveland Browns. This is a pretty tough road trip here, Rudy. And I'll tell you what, man, I know Cleveland, November 30th, that's a cold-ass football game there, one that the 49ers will not be playing. Now, you look above there, they're in San Francisco, they're in Arizona, they're in L.A., and now all of a sudden they're in Carolina. Well, no, not in Carolina, but you know what I'm saying? They're not playing in cold places, and all of a sudden they're playing in Cleveland. Could the Browns potentially get a win here?
This is going to be a loss, and here's why. 49ers are not a cold weather team.
Wow.
They're never going to be a cold weather team, and they're not going to beat the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders is going to have a field day outside of the ground and pound, which you may flip that and say 60-40 for the ground and pound, but either way, this is a win for Shedeur Sanders. Granted, he does get the start at this point, and all signs are pointing towards that direction of Shedeur Sanders starting. Why? Because we know that quarterbacks go to die in Cleveland. So if Shedeur gets that opportunity, he's going to make the best of it and end up getting the W.
And guys, might I say, if Dillon Gabriel is the starter, go take a loan out on your house and put it on the 49ers. But unless that happens, go ahead and ride with us in this one. 49ers to get the big – Rudy's going with the Browns in this one. I can't. As much as I agree with you that they don't travel well, I think the whole not revamping Nick Chubb, I know he's coming off the injuries, but to me, Nick Chubb was the best thing left on this Cleveland Browns team. I'm just not a big believer. They haven't really done anything to keep some of their receivers from this last season. We're going to see at this point who they have. Maybe they make a midseason move. I don't know, but I don't see much life at all with the Cleveland Browns. Now, they do tend to win these games late November, early December. Season's kind of coming to an end. They're at home. Everyone's writing them off, and they win one. Maybe. I just don't think it happens here. I think the 49ers get another win. So a win for me, a loss for Rudy in this one. Then the bye week comes in week 14, a very, very late bye, might I say, in week 14. Very nice, though, if they are in the playoff picture, which we currently have them in the playoff picture. They are at home against the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward coming to town. Let me go ahead and tell you, I think Cam Ward, in my opinion, is an overrated quarterback. I think the defense is overrated in Tennessee. Say what you want, guys, but at home, this is a big-time win for me, December 14th. This is when the real teams start playing football. I don't think the 49ers drop this game.
Well, to your statement, I'm going to say that Cam Ward was great in the ACC. But this is the NFL. It's not for long if you don't perform under center. And unfortunately, he may not even last that long. So we're going to find out what the Tennessee Titans team is on the offensive line, the offensive scheme, and how quickly he can get that ball out, because I guarantee you the 49ers are going to be breathing down his neck more often than not in this game throughout from start to finish. And because they're at Levi Stadium, this is a 49er win, no question, hands down. And it's going to be closer than people think. At least what you see as the object in the rearview mirror as it appears. Probably going to be a 27-21 type of game. I just think the 49ers will end up getting this dub.
And I'm with you. I think the Titans could make this an interesting game. I think they could be up 10-0 in this game. But then things are going to start to unravel late. 49ers are going to win it. It's at home. Big time win here for them. Now, at this point, my man, I have 2 losses for the 49ers. You are at 3, correct, with the Cleveland Browns?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go, guys. Week number 16. They are on the road. Monday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, December 22nd at the Colts. Look, man, I know the Colts are making a few moves. People thought they had a decent draft, blah, blah, blah. If Anthony Richardson's the quarterback at this point, which who knows what's going to happen by week 16, they're going to lose the game. But based on the Colts right now, assuming there's no other major moves made, no big injuries, do you think the Colts can go ahead and get a big-time win here in their own house, maybe pushing them towards a playoff berth?
You know what? I'm going to have to count out the Colts from the word go. And for all intents and purposes, I like where the Colts are headed. They're heading that direction. They're not at that point yet, especially with Anthony Richardson being the quarterback. And he's his own conundrum. I mean, let's just call it what it is. He doesn't know if he's going to pass, he's going to throw, he should run. No. I think he's the most indecisive quarterback in the National Football League right now. And unless he shows up this season, he's one and at this point 2 and done. In at least with the Anthony with this whole scenario with the Indianapolis Colts. So they're going to do some training in the offseason and get rid of him because he's not the answer there. It was a poor draft pick, and that's all there is to it. I think it's way too much Brock Purdy. They're going to find a way offensively to really dissect that secondary, and they're going to get the win at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yep. I can't disagree, guys. The Colts are not going to win this game. Now, I will say the Colts are kind of that team, kind of like the Browns, where they start to, at the end of the year, they always upset somebody that's looking really good. Maybe this is the game where the 49ers lock it up and get the bye. And then, oh my God, they lose to the Colts. Could it happen? Maybe it could, but I'm just not going to buy in on that train. And we can't go off of, well, what if these 2 crazy things happen? No. If this is team versus team, everybody's healthy. If Christian McCaffrey is playing this game, They will not lose this game, period, end of story. So give me the 49ers in this one with Rudy. Then Sunday, December 28th, another and their final of the regular season primetime game, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time at home. Chicago Bears coming all the way across the country. Caleb Williams, whose dad won't shut up, by the way, come make a statement. This, to me, could be a Bears win and their in-game. Do you think Caleb Williams can come on the road here and pull the upset?
It's going to take more than Caleb Williams. It's going to take protection at the line, which he did not get. Yes, the Bears addressed it, and they did get some more weaponry, and that's all fine and well. But you have a quarterback who didn't buy into the fact he was being drafted by the Chicago Bears. If I was a quarterback and being drafted by the Chicago Bears, I do everything short of going to Cancun to prevent being drafted by the Chicago Bears. They're just absolutely horrible on the offensive line. They did very little to get him protected last year. They did the same thing again this year. If I was Caleb Williams, I would annul that contract and call it a day. And especially at home against the 49ers, I just don't see the Bears traveling halfway across the country to beat the 49ers at home when at this point in the season they have postseason play on their mind. And it's not going to be even close. I think Chicago gets blown out despite Caleb Williams' best efforts to get it downfield. And I think there's at least one interception for Hufanga in there somewhere. I think Fred Warner has a field day, maybe some crossfire blitzes, maybe something exotic defensively. I just don't see Chicago getting this win. I'm taking the 49ers here.
Yeah, I hope Caleb Williams' mom's there, man, because he might need a hug after this one. I just feel like this is a bad game. Like you said, you brought up the turnover. I do agree with you. I'm going to say 2 or 3 interceptions here, maybe a fumble for Caleb Williams. I think it's just a frustrating, can't seem to get the defense off the field kind of game. This to me is 49ers all day long. I won't be surprised if Christian McCaffrey's out in the fourth quarter of this one. This just feels like a straight up 17 to 34 point blowout of the Chicago Bears. So we're going to go ahead and go with a win here. And then, Rudy, based on both of our projections, the 49ers could probably sit their starters in week number 18 here. Obviously, it says flex game to be determined, but it is at home against the Seahawks. This could be a win and you get the first seed. This could be a bench the starters. You already got the first seed. So let's just go and say if they win this game, all the starters are playing, they get the first round bye. Do they win this game against Seattle?
I think they're going to look. We've seen other teams do the very same type of formulation. They play a mixture of their starters. They play a mixture of guys that are not their starters, and just kind of hodgepodge. These guys and what they look like, and rotate them. Rotate your linebackers. Rotate that defense. Rotate the offensive line. But for the most part, you're probably looking at a 60-40 split of guys that you start versus guys that come off the bench. So with that being said, to answer your question, I think Seattle is going to have all their starters on the field in all 3 phases of this game. I just think the 49ers have that chemistry at this point in the season in order to write off Seattle Seahawks and make their playoffs against Seattle at 6-1. 49ers get the win here.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree with you on Seattle playing all their starters here. And also by this point, as long as everything goes fine, I think Seattle is going to be a much more meshed team. I think the extra almost damn near full season with the new coaching, Sam Darnold getting his year in there. If Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet can both stay healthy and neither of them gets shipped out there mid-season, I think this is a really, really tough game for the 49ers, especially if they're benching anybody here. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Seattle for a big-time win here. I just don't really think that this is one of those games where the 49ers are going to win. And part of that, to be fair, is because I already had them beating Seattle, and I think they go 1-1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that there. So for me, I got 3 losses for the 49ers. You have 4 losses, correct?
Yes.
My final question for you then with the 49ers, is 4 losses enough to give them the first round bye, top team over there in the NFC?
That is such a wide open question. And I say that.
Oh, and by the way, really quick, you can't tell me who the team is you think could have it because we haven't done the projection yet. No. Just say yes or no.
I'm not going there. I don't think they're the top seed in the NFC in the global picture of the NFC playoff picture. 2, maybe 3. But again, at that point, outside of the 3 gap, now you have to worry about all these teams that need to lose. Or if you drop another one, there's 4 games. Another one, you have 5 games, and now at 6, you're on the outside looking in regards to the playoff picture in the NFC. So unless they can figure out a way to stay between 1 and 3, they can basically write their own ticket as to where they play. Now, if they go 1 overall, then, well, hey, they're on it. Their defense is playing, solid. Their offense is just on fire. Christian McCaffrey's running for, at this point, maybe 8 or 9 touchdowns at, maybe a 2,000, 2,500 yard rushing season. I mean, all the stars would have to line and the boxes be checked in order for this 49ers team, who was dead last in the NFC West and did look very good overall in the NFC picture last year. And you're asking a lot of them to recover that. However, they did keep Brock Purdy. They signed Fred Warner, re-signed him rather, and restructured George Kittle's deal. And they all shaved off a little bit in order to bring more guys in free agency, and doing that, especially in the NFL draft. So a lot of things to be considered, but they're going to fall between 1 and 3 for me.
Yeah, I think 1 and 3 is very, very fair here. Now, obviously, with me saying only 3 losses, I think they probably are going to be the number 1 seed, in my opinion. But like you mentioned, I think there's a lot of games here. I gave them a lot of grace. I think that at the end of the day, guys, I do want to make very, very clear. If McCaffrey goes down, if Purdy goes down, or if Kittle goes down, take my prediction and throw it out the window. Don't come to me week 12 in my comments on YouTube talking about, what now, dummy, when Christian McCaffrey got hurt in week 4. I don't want to hear it, okay? If they're healthy, they are a 3-loss team. If they're not healthy, it could be a remake of last year. They could be fighting for the playoffs, and they could fall short. If they do fall short and it's not because of injury, Kyle Shanahan might be out of there. I'm just saying, it's only so long. It's kind of like Harbaugh, but worse if they don't even make the playoffs. So for that reason, I do believe here that they are going to lose 3 games. I'm going to say at worst, I think they lose 5 games. 12-5 is a very fair projection for me, Rudy. But the big question of this show is over under 10.5 wins for the 49ers. They have the easiest projected schedule in the NFL. I got to be honest with you. I'm slamming over 10.5. I just don't really see how they don't win 11 games.
Well, strength of schedule is everything. Your guys getting hot when they do. Other teams are getting hot when they do. And how often do you see that actually happening, especially in NFC West that has been relatively dominated by the 49ers, plus minus a couple of years with the, aforementioned LA Rams within that mix. I don't think Arizona is going to make it in the playoffs. And I have a hard time with Seattle. I'm on the fence in regards to their playoff positioning. But when you look at this team, they're probably going to give you that 10-game win season. And if they don't, again, depending on who's playing, when they play, and how hot they are, all depending on injuries as well, where does that all lay? There's so much minutia in regards to whether or not they can get into postseason play. I want to see the 49ers do better than they did last year. I want to see them not falter. And the next man up needs to be, the next man up. And if they can't figure out who that is, then guess what's going to happen? They're going to have rinse and repeat of what happened last year.
Right there with you, my man. Well, there you go, guys. That is our 2025 San Francisco 49ers schedule prediction. I am going 14-3. Rudy's going 13-4. We're going over 10.5 wins. But keep in mind, guys, it feels so low to me. Maybe they don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play till week 4 or 5. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But even without McCaffrey, they can still start 3-1, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens here. But all that said, guys, make sure to give us a follow one more time at Instagram and Twitter at SportsForumCO. YouTube, click that subscribe button for us. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it at The Sports Forum on YouTube. And make sure to join us for the other 31 teams that we'll be covering. My man, Rudy Reyes, Riggs Tamburo with The Sports Forum. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in show number 2.